Hello everyone, I'm David from ProWarm Underfloor Heating. Today we're on site in a new build. We're going to be installing our wet underfloor heating system. We're using clip rail. We're also going to be using staples for additional security as we're having a liquid screed. The pipe we're going to be installing today is going to be the per as we're going to maximise heat output. And it's all going to end up connected back to this manifold. Will you mounted on this wall behind me?
Because we're installing an heating screed system, it's recommended we fit a plastic membrane over your insulation. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use this one. This one has a grid membrane pattern, which we're going to use as nice straight lines will enable us to keep our pipework nice and straight. And we're also going to install some edge insulation against the exterior walls, just for a bit of extra insulation. We've just finished putting the laminon down, our grid membrane. We've also installed our edge insulation around the perimeter walls where necessary. As this is going to be a kitchen, there's various islands, as I'm standing in right now, and other bits of cabinetry that we've also marked with the red lines so that we know not to go underneath those things with our pipework. Now we've done that, we're about ready to start laying pipe.
The clip rail comes in 1 metre strips, has a self-adhesive backing. They can be cut down fairly easily with simple tools, and they have holes every so often for you to secure it with pipe staples if needed.
Okay, so we've got our clip rail down now. We're going to start uncoiling the pipe from the decoiler. We're going to feed it off towards the manifold first. We're then going to hook it onto the manifold. That will hold that one end of the pipe in place. And then we're going to basically just follow these red lines around the kitchen units, and then we're going to make our way into the room that's on the other side of that wall, because that room is the furthest away from the manifold, which is why it's our starting point. And yeah, let's get cracking.
We're using per pipe for this project as we want to really maximise the heat output in such a large space. The Al in the per stands for aluminium, and that aluminium is going to give us the best heat transmission possible, and it's also a very good oxygen barrier and keeps air out of the system.
So we've now connected the majority of our circuits. They're all laid down now. We've just got one connection that needs to be done. And we've done the majority of the connections around the manifold just to save time on the video. So I'm just going to show you now how to cut the pipe to the correct size and how to connect it to the manifold and what fittings to use. So you take your pipe cutters, and just cut this round about there. Next we're going to take our re-rounding tool, put that in there, and create a nice chamfered edge ready for our fitting. Now we're going to take our 16mm Eurocone, slide the nut over, and then you split olive, and we push our insert in, and we're simply going to wrangle this into position. Run hand tight. Just going to grab our spanner, and we're going to tighten it up the rest of the way. once we know we've got a good solid connection, we're ready to move on to the rest of the parts around the manifold. First part is our ball valves, also known as isolation valves. These come in two components. We've got the upgraded version that comes with a temperature gauge on the flow and return. So you can put the first bit in. That's on there nice and snug. Now I'm going to take the second part of our fitting and connect it to the first. The last thing that's going to be connected to our manifold is our pump set. So as you can see, we've got a Grundfos version here. That's what we supply as standard with our ProWarm manifolds, as it's market leading. So we are going to attach that just there. So again, we're just going to guide that in first of all on the top and the bottom. And this might take a little bit of doing because we are snug right up against the wall. That's in there tight now, and we'll just do the other side. Actually, probably easier just to do this section by hand, and then we'll tighten it with the spanner afterwards. And that's that connected as well. So now we've got everything attached to the manifold that should be. We've got, from left to right, we've got our pump, then we've got our isolation valves with the temperature gauges, we've got the pipework for our circuits. These are where we're going to fill and drain off the system from. We've also got a pressure gauge, and we've got an automatic air vent. So now we've got everything attached. We're going to get these undone. I'm going to attach a hose pipe onto here. We're going to fill the system up, and then we're going to pressure test. As you can see, we've now got our hose lock fittings connected to our manifold. We've turned the water on. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the dust shroud on our flow meters. We're going to open each circuit individually on the top and on the bottom. And before we do that, we're going to open up the fill and the drain on the manifold using our radiator key. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill each circuit one by one so that the water comes through, goes round the circuit, comes back, drains out into the bucket, and once the water comes out and we've got no bubbles in it, we know that that circuit is full and that all the air has been removed, and we can move on to the next one. So I'm just going to open up our inlet. And then we're going to open up our drain. And then we're going to open up these circuits one at a time. So as you can see, we've got the water coming in from here. We're getting flow across the top bar of the manifold. It's going to fill the only circuit that's open. And then once that circuit is filled, we'll start to see it return and out of the drain and into the bucket. So as you can see, we're now getting water coming out the other side. You can see it looks very cloudy. This is because it's full of air bubbles. So we're just going to submerge this now. so that once the air bubbles stop, we can see that they're no longer forming in the bucket, and then we can close this circuit down and open up the next one, and we'll do this from circuit 1 all the way to the end of the manifold. So you can probably hear that sort of burbling sound coming from the bucket. This means we've still got plenty of air in the system. We're not quite ready to move on to the next circuit just yet. You want to make sure you fill the system this way instead of using the boiler filling loop, because the boiler filling loop doesn't always have adequate enough pressure to force the air out of the manifold. That's just a handy tip to know. So otherwise you can get airlocks in your system. Start to see now that the air bubbles are letting up. So we're going to close this circuit, and then we are going to move on to the next one. The circuits in this room are fairly long, so it might take a little bit of time for it to come out and to get rid of all the air that's sat in the system, but it's worth taking the time to fill it properly. And all of our air bubbles are gone now, so we're going to seal this off and we'll get ready for pressure testing. Okay, we've disconnected our hoses. Now the system's all filled and all the air has been purged out the system. The last thing to do is to pressure test to check for any leaks, any loose connections around the manifold. So we've attached our pressure tester adapter onto the drain side of the manifold. We've closed the fill side, opened this side. All of the flow meters are fully open. All of the circuit isolation valves are all open as well. And as you can see, we're sat currently at around 3 bar. For the screeders, we need to leave it to 4 bar. So that's what we're going to do now. There we are, we're now at 4 bar. We're going to leave this and see if the pressure holds in the system. We're going to leave it for about half an hour just to make sure that we know 100% that all our connections are good, we've got no leaks, and then we can take it off, seal this back up with our rad key, and then we can leave it for the screeders to come in and pour the screed over the pipes. So we've left the system for half an hour. The pressure's holding steady. We're sat nice and pretty at 4 bar. We've got no leaks. With that, we're going to seal this up using our rad key. And that way we know the system is sealed. Once we've sealed the system, we can then let out the pressure that's sat in our line by simply just opening this up. And then we can disconnect our pressure tester. We can now put the cap back over this. And that's now ready for the screeders. So that concludes our installation video. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you found the information useful. If you've got a similar project, then you can find contact details for our team of experts below.